Welcome to the City Movement Podcast. The City Movement is a growing movement of churches and YMCAs across America and across the world who want to see the C lifted up in YMCA. We're here to talk about what that looks like practically and talk about the joys and sorrows of planting churches and YMCAs. We're your hosts, Jeff Snyder and Mike Newman. Thanks for spending time with us today. Let's jump into today's episode. Well, welcome back. We are here for Season 2 of the City Movement Podcast.
Yes.
This is Jeff Snyder. I'm here with Mike Newman.
Good to be back.
Thanks for joining us. Man, it has been, since
July? Jinx. Yeah. Double jinx.
Since we went into our amazing sports careers.
Is that right?
Jensen.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We shared our highlights
Yeah.
of our athletic careers. And much of them took place in like 6th, 7th grade.
7th grade, yeah.
That was like when we all peaked out.
I think the thing I learned from that podcast is don't have Jensen on unless you want to laugh the whole time.
Sure, that's good. That's a good thing to learn.
So we're back for Season 2. We're excited. We're here. It's December 2021. We're approaching Christmas here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And you know what? Is this Season 2? Is Season 2 those mini things we recorded in England? Or was that like a bonus season?
I think that was a bonus season, across the waters. Season 2 will start in January.
Okay.
And this is like a little intro to what you're going to get and maybe a recap of what happened the last 6 months with City Movement.
That's great.
What do you think?
That's great.
Yeah.
Just in case you haven't seen it, all you listeners and viewers of our content out there, David and I took a trip to England in late September, October of this year. And as a part of that, we recorded some podcast episodes on site in England as we were working on a fun project that we'll talk about later in this episode. But if you haven't seen that, go to our YouTube station, our podcast station on wherever you listen to podcasts, and give those a listen. It's pretty fun. I would recommend watching them.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of at these sites where we're recording this documentary.
Bro, what do you say we just jump in? Like, tell us about your England trip. Why'd you go? What was the purpose of it? How do you see that trip advancing the gospel and making the ground fertile for church planting? What? Come on, give us the whole thing.
Well, so if you were with us in Season 1, which hopefully a lot of you were, hopefully some of you weren't. We got some new listeners and viewers out there. You would have heard us talk about our vision of the YMCA and the founder of the YMCA.
Yep.
And the lead pastor of my church, David Newman, he is the global expert in the Christian history of the YMCA, especially as it relates to the founder of the Y, George Williams. And a really, really neat opportunity that we got to do this year is we had a group step up and say, we want to pay for you guys to record a documentary on the life of George Williams in honor of his 200th birthday, which was October 11th. So I headed across the pond with David and a few other people, a videographer, a sound person, and we spent 8 days traveling around England. We went to the birthplace of George Williams, this awesome farmhouse in the hills of Dulverton, which... man, if there was one thing not even related to this documentary that I would take away, it is English people are so warm. I mean, like, the first 2 nights we were there, families invited us into their homes for home-cooked meals.
Excellent.
And, like, maybe it's because I'm a resident of the United States, and so I don't get that kind of hospitality here. Very rarely do strangers invite me into their home for meals, Right.
Even neighbors. I mean, we pull into our garage, we shut it.
Yeah, I mean, we're so in our little structure and system of what we're used to, and this is this is during COVID, right? Yep. And I would say England's probably a little more strict in their COVID protocols in the United States, and people were just so kind to us.
That's cool.
Which was really cool. So
that's cool.
We filmed at his birthplace. We filmed where he gave his life to the Lord at a drape factory in Bridgewater, and then we filmed in London. And so we released the one in Dulverton on October 11th. It gained way more traction across the world than we thought it would.
Yeah.
There are just awesome stories. Maybe we'll share some of them later this season of CEOs or YMCA employees or church planners saying, this is the most well done YMCA kind of like documentary that we've ever seen. And it really got traction on YouTube. We got stories from people across the country saying, this is what I've been waiting for, to see the history of the YMCA and the Christian history of the YMCA communicated in such a great way. And we were really hoping this would be just a little spark to bring a little more momentum to the movement, and I really think it's doing that. We just released, it's a 3-part documentary. It's on YouTube. On this, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's on this same YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be pretty easy to find, the City Movement. And we released the first part in October and the second part here in the end of November, and it's doing the same thing. It's people are sharing it and viewing it, and the name of Jesus is being lifted high just because of what we're doing, which is what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
right?
That's great. Yep, we've watched them, been encouraged by them, sent them out to folks. And it is easy to get kind of stuck in your rut. For instance, if you're a staff member at a YMCA, or if you send your kids to the YMCA just like viewing it as this is just a daycare, or this is just my job and I'm supposed to, take the trash out here and do, all these check marks, but to really be encouraged that since the genesis of the why, the intent has been, we're going to use this place and these people for gospel advancement. We want to have the gym be a place where we influence people for the master and things like that. And so it's a strategic platform to share the gospel and to help people grow in Christ.
Yes.
And so in terms of like summarizing the documentary's purpose, would you say that is it's helping feed into that vision? And
absolutely,
more so like a little chipping away to help people understand restoring vision.
It's just kind of like rediscovering when this movement, this worldwide movement, was founded 200 years ago, just rediscovering the original purpose and the purpose that the movement still kind of lives for in many locations throughout the world.
That's awesome.
And it was so neat to me. We stood in the same farmhouse where George Williams was born and grew up 200 years ago. And that was just really cool.
Yeah.
We walked the streets where he walked and went to the church where he went to church. And it was just such a great reminder to all you church planners out there, or to all you, like you said, the YMCA employees who just doing their thing, even though it might seem like such a small piece of the machine.
Yeah.
That God uses everyone. Like he can just use anyone.
That's right.
George Williams was not.
Yeah.
He didn't come from some royal family. He didn't come from a lot of money. He was a farmer in the hills of southwestern England who no one knew about.
Yeah.
And he was even sent away from his family land as a teenager because he wasn't a good farmer.
Yeah.
And God just totally used him in a very, very significant way, as we all know, with 14,000 YMCA locations across the world.
That's great.
Yeah.
So shameless plug then. You can go on Amazon and read all about his life if you look up the book called The Shining Light. The Shining Light. And it is about the life of George Williams. And maybe talk a little bit about that, where there's been great efforts to get that book in the hands of a lot of CEOs and different YMCA people, to encourage them and let them know they're loved and let them know that they're a part of a great vision and work.
Yeah, we've had a lot going on since we last recorded over the summer. So we published a book, the City Movement published a book called The Shining Light. David wrote it, and it's all about the history of the YMCA. Not just George Williams, it is about George Williams, but it's also about the history of the movement and the great movements and works of God that have even happened just within the YMCA. And so that, man, I think that we probably published that in late September, right, leading up to George Williams' birthday, and had the opportunity to ship copies of this book in little boxes that say the reason why on them, all across the country and the world. We shipped 30 of them to Thailand because the Thailand YMCA wanted to be able to put this in the hands of their CEOs, and we did that to a lot of other countries and also to CEOs across the United States. We kind of had the opportunity to talk with some of our leaders within the YMCA and say, who are the CEOs that we think would really be motivated with a copy of this book, and sent probably 200 to different CEOs across the country, and are just we've just been receiving great feedback about what's in that book, and leaders saying this is what we've been waiting for. We knew there was something different about the YMCA, but we couldn't quite put our finger on it. Now we know what it is, and we feel motivated in the authority to live in it, which it's been really great.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, so like you said, you can see The Shining Light is the name of the book. It's on Amazon. We also, if you have any questions about it or want a copy, you can definitely reach out to us at The City Movement. You can go to our website, thecitymovement.org, or you can email us at uscitymovement@gmail.com, and we'd love to answer any questions on that. Or
that's good. All proceeds.
Maybe Mike can even sign a copy of it for you.
Sure.
You've got a great signature.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Yeah, all proceeds, even if you would say that, any proceeds of the sale on Amazon just go back to the City Movement.
Sure.
And I would say we'll even talk about some of the things we've got coming up with the City Movement that we're excited about.
Yeah.
But all of this, whether it be the documentary or the book, is all just getting the name out about the City Movement, raising the C in the YMCA, and kind of getting ready to take steps to launch a network of churches, planting churches in the YMCA.
It's awesome.
Right?
Yeah. That's what we're doing, man.
Yeah.
Bro, let's talk about Silver Bay.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. All right, so if you're
why don't
pastor,
you let me ask you some questions this
sure.
time? You're just asking me all the questions.
Come on.
Okay.
I'll take
So, Silver Bay,
yes.
we go there every year, almost, except for 2020 because nothing normal happened in 2020, to talk about planting churches and YMCAs and to encourage other pastors and YMCA leaders in what they're doing.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us what happened at Silver Bay this year, and maybe kind of like what the movement's kind of next steps are coming out of it.
Awesome. Yeah, so this past October, early part of November, was committed to planning for, praying for, and headed to Silver Bay. So if you don't know what Silver Bay is, was it the original training grounds and sending for missionaries in YMCAs? Wasn't it like...
It must have been. Yeah,
it must have been.
If it wasn't, it is now.
So it's in New York, and near Lake George, if you're familiar with the area. Just beautiful property.
It's in the Adirondack Mountains.
Yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it is.
But this year, there was about 20 YMCA CEOs, staff, and various pastors of churches that have planted in the Y, to come together and pray, get great fellowship, eat great food, and then plan for really what does the next 10 years look like with regards to the Christian emphasis of the YMCA.
Yeah.
So
a little smaller than normal, right? Normally there's 80 or 90 people there, and this year was a little smaller still because of some COVID New York things.
Yeah, understaffed, things like that. But I think there's some good turning. So with regards to like next year, Silver Bay, we're going to blow it up.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so we'll keep talking about that. Over the episodes of the City Movement, and people involved will know when it's happening. But we would just love anyone that's interested in planting a church in a YMCA, or if you work for the YMCA and want to see practical ideas and even get motivated with the vision of raising the C in the YMCA, we'd love to see you at Silver Bay in October of 2022.
Yeah, right. A couple highlights from the like vision and prayer time. Like I remember one session in particular where we were brainstorming, charting out goals and prayers and things like that. And one CEO from Indiana, he just said, hey, pastors, anytime you guys need help with regards to church planting, like if there's any conferences or anything like that where I can go set up a booth and say, YMCAs want churches to come in and plant there. It helps us. It helps fulfill the vision. We love it when churches come and serve our people, and they need the gospel. And so we've got like people again, it's not like the elevator pitch
That's
is.
awesome.
It's not like a movie theater where you just go and the person in charge of the movie theater says, "Oh yeah, come on Sundays and Saturdays and Friday nights and tell the people about Christ." Like CEOs are saying, "We want you to join. We want your churches to be a part of what we're doing, and love, serve, and care for the community in this way." And
I see
it's
you dropping the love, serve, and care lingo in
yes,
there.
absolutely.
Man,
That's it.
you're like a walking
I'm going to
advertisement.
drop it. Another highlight was a guy, a pastor from Minnesota, said, "You know what? The YMCA is in 120 countries. What if in the next 10 years we saw it go into the 121st?" And everyone wasn't like, rah, let's do it, because it would be great if one country got to experience a pool or another gym or something like that. But more so, the excitement was around, what if we did build a YMCA where there was a Christian CEO,
Yeah.
where there was a chaplain on site ready to share the gospel and counsel and help people. What if we were ready to plant a church in that new country right away with a team of people that was like vibrant for the gospel and ready to reach out to the community. So it's
Bringing
like
the light of Jesus,
That's
right?
right.
The shining light.
yeah. So
It reminds me, I was in Isaiah 9 this
Okay.
morning. I was just reading Isaiah 9, Christmas,
wonderful counselor.
I was, rewind a little bit.
Okay.
But, like the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On them a light has shone. And that's just what I think. It's like when the YMCA goes into a new country and we plant a church there, that's what's happening. We're bringing a light into the darkness.
It's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us one more highlight. Was there one more highlight you were going to share?
One more highlight. I would say, with regards to Silver Bay, it's not just like a conference where you come sit and soak, but there's some restful pockets in there. And so I got to spend the afternoon with a friend in the Adirondack Mountains and praying and having fun and just enjoying God's creation. So
It's so great.
So yeah, we took 3 or 4 hours and just enjoyed the time out there.
Yeah.
It wasn't all like work or whatever.
Yeah. Were you with
so it was-
Jensen and I when we went on a hike 2 years ago and got lost and ended up not on the trail and just trying to run up the mountain?
I
Were you
was not.
Oh.
No.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And
Glad we could experience that
and
together.
you found your way eventually because
We
you're
did.
here today.
Yeah, we made it back.
Okay.
Yep, no bears.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Wow.
Well, it sounds like Silver Bay was it sounds like that was a great week for some of the
Yes.
leadership in the movement, and we're excited to carry forward some of the momentum and vision that you guys even talked about there into 2022.
Yeah.
Is there anything you think, anything you want to share about where we're headed in 2022? Not just the podcast, but the movement as a whole. Anything you would say?
Yeah, I think that there's some grassroots stuff happening across the country where guys are gleaning more of the vision, and with regards to city movement, more of a formalized network is happening to where churches are considering joining the city movement in collaboration for training and preparing for more church plants. In the past, it's been exciting to see churches like land at the YMCA, and we've gotten to help and aid in that process. And I think we really want to take some deliberate steps to start bringing people in to our churches and collaborating together, both in planting and in missions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, we've had, when you say grassroots, I get encouraged because there are things happening in terms of Jesus, the name of Jesus being lifted high, the Spirit moving within people in collaboration in Louisiana and in Orlando and in many other places all throughout the United States that we're just excited about what's going to happen in 2022 and internationally. I mean, the city movement is going to a conference in Germany in January and Austria at the beginning of February and Denmark in July. people are asking us in the YMCA to come and speak and be present. And so I'm really looking forward to the places God is going to take this movement in the coming year.
It's really cool.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm looking forward to in season 2 is, like you said, I would say we're really close to formally kind of like bringing in more churches.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to hopefully bringing them on the podcast
That's right,
at some
man.
point in 2022.
These guys got to meet
Yeah.
other pastors and other
It's got to be
leaders.
about more people than just the guys in Lebanon, Ohio.
Come on.
I don't want to give people
Come
the
on.
mistaken view that this is just a group of guys in Lebanon, because that's not true.
Yep.
This is a movement all across the United States. So I don't know what that's going to look like. Maybe there's going to be 2 screens where someone is remotely talking to us.
Sure.
Maybe we'll have someone here. Maybe we'll go do it somewhere else and meet someone
Yeah.
somewhere else at their location. But I'm excited to have some of the guys on and hear more from people outside of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the tone that we're shooting for in season 2 is we want to hear like the joys and sorrows, the ups and downs, like real gritty church planting stuff in the YMCA. Like, for instance, I was talking to a guy in Louisiana, and they are holding a luncheon for a lot of seminary students at the YMCA, and they're talking about what does it look like to plant churches or essentially be a portable church, and they're talking about all the setup and all the woes and all the joys and discipleship opportunities, and so like all of these guys that have planted in churches or planted in YMCAs, they all have like at least 1 or 2 really funny stories that are funny now. At the time, they're
probably not funny in the moment.
They were crying.
Yeah.
I was crying. Yeah. So I think that's the tone that we're shooting for, not this like superlative, everything's so awesome, great, but like if let's say you are a church planter, or you're in seminary and you are considering planting in the Y, you're moving to some city and you're looking at various locations, and hopefully by the end of season 2 you're going to get a really realistic picture of what it's going to look like to plant a church in a Y.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully during the process of season 2, something else to look forward to in 2022 is we're going to be talking about an internship program.
Yeah.
And that's one of our main goals and strategies for growing the movement, is to plant more churches in YMCAs. And so we've been talking about what it looks like to launch an internship program where we would have pastoral interns who would then eventually plant a church in a YMCA, and we're looking forward to that. So
It's really good.
is there anything else we should?
Bro, how do these guys get a hold of us again? Like,
Yeah.
what should they do? Come on.
I was going to say that as we go off, but we would just want to know if you have questions on anything we talk about,
Yep.
if you have ideas, if you just want to get to know us a little more, we would love to talk with you.
And feedback.
Yeah,
Bring it.
Or didn't I say feedback last year? I
You
think that
could've.
was in the
You
last
could've.
episode, maybe, because you guys made fun of me. I was going to let it. I was going to let it slide.
It was probably.
Oh yeah, you
someone
wouldn't
else.
make fun.
Yeah,
of me.
no.
That's true. And I never mess up.
Yeah.
So, you can email us at uscitymovement@gmail.com. You can get a hold of us on Facebook. If you just look at the City Movement on Facebook, you can message us. We'll get back to you there. We're pastors at churches, so my contact info is on my church's website, AntiochCountryside@gmail. Nope, I don't know why I keep on saying the Gmail. AntiochCountryside.com. You are thegatheringcity.com.
That's right. .com.
And you can look us up there, or thecitymovement.com. We're both on there too.
Yep.
So those are the ways we would just love and appreciate getting to know more people that are passionate about this movement.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, we'll see. Our plan is to be back in January with another episode after we get through the holidays, and we'll see you then. So for Mike Newman, this is Jeff Snyder. That was the City Movement Podcast.